Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Not back at Katie9, POK here, and today we are doing part 3 of my How to Solder series. I'm going to finish the kit in this video, which is great. It's a bit of a longer video, which I say at the end of the video as well, because you definitely need to hear it twice. But that's just because I thought you didn't want like two 10-minute videos, two 15-minute videos, just one 35-minute video, nice and gorgeous like that. This is going to be coming out right on Christmas Day for those of you who celebrate it, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and let's roll that awesome intro video. Now they're not going to be perfect just because the LED shoulders on the leads are not like the right thickness, so it's sliding right through the holes. This could be a LED problem, this could be a circuit board problem. It's not a huge deal, I just have this. Oh my god, that was supposed to be epic. You know what I'll do? I'll take this and I'll speed it up. We have this super technical piece of equipment here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the LED, put it in, get it to be approximately the same height as the other ones, gently, obviously. So I want to make that one go in more. Is that an unreasonable expectation? Probably. Let's do things unreasonably. My god, this is gonna take forever. See, this is where perfection is not important, but I'm still going to do it. This is where I give advice and then don't take it. So, follow my advice, kids. Perfect. That took a long time. It was very excessive, but I've done it and it's perfect. And now we do the other 7. See you in 3 hours. Alright, we now officially have all of the diodes in. That was a process. As you could see by my great, awesome videoing skills, I figured out how to zoom and not zoom the camera. Had a whole bunch of fun, but now we have them all at relatively the same level, and we can check off all of these. Now I was wondering, as I was soldering, why they made it CR0 through CR9 instead of CR1 through CR10. But I wonder if it's because they can't make it longer than 3 digits long. And by it, I mean like the code. The thing written on the board. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Cool. Alright, the next thing we need to do is a socket. The 8-pin DIP IC socket. I don't know if it's DIP. I feel like DIP sounds weird. Locate the 8-pin IC socket. This is a low profile style socket. Meaning I assume that it's like short. Instead of being super tall and super high off the board, it's just gonna be nice and low, nice and short. But I could be wrong about that. Seems like I'm not. But anyway, note that the sockets are keyed to indicate pins 1 and 8. This key is either a U or a rectangular shaped notch. The parts placed will indicate the proper orientation. Inspect each socket carefully and straighten any bent pins before attempting installation. So I kind of like, you know, I didn't like sit on it, but like I definitely sat on it earlier. Like, you know, I just hit it with my finger and squished it. So check the pins. You can see some of them are bent out of whack, so I'm just going to use my fingernails, which is obviously why I keep them so long, to keep, and they're not even that long, to make it nice and straight. And then if we look at this socket, I showed this in my last video, but this little notch, this little U, and then we look at the board, there's another notch, which means that we line up the notches and we put it in the board, and that is correct. Any other way of doing it is wrong. Don't know why. Now I'm going to use the same masking tape technique so that this isn't floating, except I'm not going to be sticking it to a bunch of other sockets. Just like that, and she's done. Now you can't see a difference, but there is a difference. It's been soldered. Now the thing with sockets is we do not trim the pins. They're just made to be the correct length. We don't have to worry about that. Oh no, I did not. Oh yes, I did. And we're going to loosen that solder just a bit, because that is not happening. And that would be how you fix a socket. The non-professional, very illogical way. And now I, deconnect some of these pins that are not supposed to be connected. Because remember, this is soldering the not back way, which is not the wrong way, but not necessarily. Alright, locate the 16-pin low-profile DIP IC socket. Install the 16-pin socket at location U2, observing orientation, solder. So I don't know why it says install and then solder. Like, am I just gonna like put it in and leave it there? What if you just forgot to solder something? It would honestly be kind of funny. Now this one I'm not gonna put in wrong, and it's not gonna end up floating. Yes? Alright, 16-pin low-profile DIP IC socket. Check. Note, it's very easy to bridge adjacent pins on these sockets because of the very close spacing. Be careful when soldering if bridges occur. Move them using a solder sucker or solder braid. I actually found that it's not that easy to bridge adjacent pins. Like, it was a lot easier to bridge other things and not these. But that's just me, and maybe some things are easier for me and harder for others. You never know. Now, the next thing we need to do, I'm honestly super psyched about this, the push action DPDT, or double pull, double throw. Yeah, no clue. Don't know why it's called double pull, double throw. Switch, install the switch at location S1, SW1 on the PC board, SW meaning switch. The white switch shaft should face the edge of the PC board. The body of the switch should be flush and parallel to the PC board surface. Solder. Is anyone else fascinated by this switch? No? Just me? Okay. Alright. Switch done. Locate the spool of insulated jumper wire. That sounds complicated. Alright guys, it is day 3. We have done 7 pages of soldering. It's just a lot of soldering. If we look at the board, beginning of day 3, we've got most of the components in, and she's looking really nice. We have this amazing switch, but I'm honestly super excited to see what this does, because I have zero clue why we have so many transistors, resistors, stuff like that, but we'll figure it out and we'll see. So day 3, and we are doing jumper wires, which means we're gonna have to worry about this wire, which I'm not super excited about, but that's fine. It's okay. So the only reason I'm not super excited is because it seems difficult, and also I don't want to mess up and have to desolder a bunch of stuff because I'm not great at it. So today we are going to need, for our jumper wiring, clippers and wire strippers. I think that's it. So let us get to jumping, or jumpering. Now, there's a note that says, for the following steps, you'll need to determine the proper wire length needed for each jumper. Well, that sounds easy. The jumpers will vary from about 2 inches to 3.5 inches for the longer runs. The wire jumpers should rest on the PC board in the area between the red LEDs CR to C9 and U1, U2, and SW1. Sorry. Okay, so they're going to be like here and here. Prepare each jumper by cutting the wire to length. Strip about an 1/8 of an inch of insulation each end in preparation for soldering. The first jumper we are installing is from points W8 and WI on the PC board. So let's find my pen. W8 is right there, and WI is right there. Wait a minute. That's not going to be a straight line unless I put it underneath the LED legs, because that goes right through the LED, like directly through the LED. The wire jumpers should rest on the PC board in the area between the red LEDs and U1, U2, and SW1. I'm going to make that jumper curve. Okay, let's do it. So what I'm going to do to test out the jumper length is we're just going to go do. Now you notice this is excessively long, so keeping that in mind, let's say we cut it like here. Think that'll be enough? Let's see, it said 2 inches to 3.5. That's almost 4 inches. Okay, let's strip this wire just a little bit on the end. And these wire strippers, they're old, but they work nice and well. You're just going to take the wire, I'd say guess at the length, but really you just see which one it fits in. And then I'm going to strip about 1/8 of an inch, which is about that much. Then you squeeze, and it strips them for us. Nice and simple, nice and easy. That was really easy. That's not long enough though. You can see that didn't quite strip the entire area that I wanted it to, so I'm going to strip just a bit more. Okay, that's better. Now let's look at this wire real quick. Is it really? This wire is different than most wire that I end up working with in that it is one piece. Most of the wire that I work with is many different little tiny pieces, like most copper wire. I believe it's called multi-core. Not positive about that one. And it's a lot easier with this wire, I can tell you that. So now that I've stripped it, I'm going to put it in the hole that I need it to go in, which is W8. That's a little short. I'll remember to strip the other ones a bit longer. Then that needs to go past the LED. Now it's sitting on top of the LED. I wonder if they gave us extra wire. That would be helpful. Now, the reason I'm on day 3, not because this kid's taking 72 hours, but because I'm working about an hour a night and I'm filming it. So we're going to cut it about there, and then we're going to hope for the best. Because I'm a little worried I'm cutting it too short, and I don't think there's much wire to spare, which would be why I'm cutting it almost too short. Alright, so my wire strippers were acting up, so I just used my clippers, clipped away, you know, just kind of like cut but didn't cut all the way so that I cut the insulation but not the wire, and then I kind of just messed with it, finagled and such, and here we are. So now let's see if I failed miserably and did this wrong. And obviously I didn't, right? Because I'm a pro like that. You're joking. Oh, that's depression. You see, you watched me finagle with a letter opener, and what I realized while I was letter opening is that my stripped area of my wire wasn't long enough, so I pulled out my wire strippers and tried to strip it longer, and instead I ended up cutting it, and now I need a new wire. Yeah. I hope I have enough. Okay. Take 2 of what I'd like to call in which the letter opener saves the day. I made this one a little bit longer, so in theory it should be nice and easy, right? Here's the question. Why do they have jumper wires when they could literally just have contacts, traces, whatever the word is. Why couldn't they just do that instead? But regardless, letter opener has in fact saved the day, and it is time for our first soldering of today, a good half an hour into the project. But that's fine. It's an adventure and I am learning. Okay, jumper 1 soldered, or as I'd like to say, 1 down, 9 to go. It's alright, I got time. Alright, welcome back to day 4, not welcome back to day 4, welcome back to the video. It's day 4 of working on this Vectronics Comprehensive Soldering Course kit, and she's looking pretty good. Now, we were working on jumper wires last night, and we've got 2 of 10 done. So we're going to continue working on those today and see how far we get. You know what I'm learning? What not to do. I can use these later for W6 and W7. But I have not succeeded at W3 yet, which is fine. It's just disheartening. Nah, I'm fine. It's just annoying to do the same thing over and over again and have it not work. But then again, my dad says definition of insanity. Do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Which I guess means it's a good thing that I'm actually doing different things. And none of them are still working. But that's fine. You know, I thought I was getting good at this. I thought I was like, ooh, yeah, look, I know what I'm doing. Watch me roar. Nope. Lulled into a false sense of security by one working wire. Well, I guess 3rd time's the charm, since that worked perfectly. Now all I have to do is solder it in. Seriously? What the fudge? Why do you keep doing this to me? You were so perfect. Nice. 4 jumper wires down, 6 more to go. Alright. Now here's a short lesson on how I wire strip with clippers, or not wire strippers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose how much I want to be stripped, which is going to be about that much. And then I just cut a little bit in just until I feel a little bit of resistance as I twist the wire. And you want to keep it in the same spot so you get a nice even cut. And then I pull gently. And magic. Stripped wire, both ends. I've gotten better at it throughout the years. It's not easy when you first start and you end up cutting the wire and all of this stuff, and it's a hot mess. But this wire is particularly easy because it's never mind, I don't know. Now before we trim, I want to check to make sure that this is down all the way, because it's not. And I'm sensing a trend with these wires and their unwillingness to do what I asked them to do. It's not that hard. It's okay, I fixed it. Turns out the trick for these wires is patience. Whew. She's getting messy. Okay, 5, where's that? 6 down, 4 to go. These 4, they're gonna be a piece of cake. As I said so. Not necessarily because I know they're gonna be a piece of cake. But that's it for today, folks.
Actually that's not true. I might film for more tomorrow. Tonight. Wow. And I might consider getting more sleep tonight as well. So, see you then. Alright guys, I am back and better than ever, as seems to be my thing. And it is part 2 of day 4. Now we have got a little over half of the jumper wires done, so we are almost done with our kit. And the next jumper wire that we need to do, as I convince myself not to nitpick the ones we've already done, is in between points W2 and WC. So that's going to be right here and right here. So that's going to be quite the wire. It's going to have to come through this intersection right here, just because I'm not having it go down around this chip or over top of the chip. And that's going to be, I'd say, somewhere around 3 inches long. So step 1 is strip this half. That's a lot. Strip the wire. And that actually worked for once, which is nice. And then we're going to put it into the hole. And I always put it in between the LEDs first, just because it's easier. Put it into W2, bend it, bring it around. WC's like there, and then we cut it with much extra to spare, and I did just say much extra. So we're going to go to about there, and we're going to take this out gently and strip this half as well. This side, I guess, not this half. I'm not stripping the entire wire, jeez. I always knew it was too good to be true. So you can see it only partially stripped the wire, so now we come in with our wire clippers, or in this case, wire strippers. And I don't know, I just kind of know how far, like I just push until I get resistance. Nice and simple. Spin it in a nice neat circle. I like to go around 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 times. Really just until it stops having obvious resistance. And then just like that. Nice and easy. Wire is stripped. Now you notice that I bent this when I put it into W2, so it goes nice and easy. So now I bend it again for WC. I'm going to put my nail right where the wire meets insulation, use my other finger to bend it down. So we get a nice right angle, and then we put our overly long wire into WC. And that would be the extra that we have, and I'm just going to lie it down like that. Nice and simple, nice and easy. I'd rather have too much wire than not enough. Now we're going to start with WC, just because these youngsters, these oldsters, they seem to like fall out a little bit when I start soldering with them, and I don't appreciate it. Seem to like fall down a bit. They end up floating, like if you look at right there, that's a, if you look at WG, you can see a little bit of that stripped wire, and it's kind of floating, and I don't appreciate it. That's this one right here. You can see it's a little smaller than the other two, so I'm just going to make sure that WC is completely out before I solder. The first thing I always do before I start soldering is clean my soldering iron, just because the last thing I do before I turn my soldering off is not clean my soldering iron. And of course I accidentally get solder. Perfect. And now we find W3, and this one I have to make the angle a little higher for. Now I'm going to check and be annoyed and decide that it's good enough, and then trim. Because no matter how hard I try, they always end up floating just a little bit. It's okay, I can deal with that. Alright, check it off. And next we have W0 and WA. Alright guys, one wire left. W5 to WF. And then we do our 9-volt battery connector and our zip ties, pop the chips in, and see if she works. Wires are done. And we have extra wire. Now with this extra wire, I wanted to show you something, because earlier I was saying that it was like just one piece of wire instead of many little pieces of wire put together. Turns out that's not true, and this coincides with the YouTube comment I was looking at this morning.
So this wire, I thought it was, you know, just one single piece of wire and not a bunch of little tiny pieces of wire all wrapped in the same piece of insulation. Like, you know, a lot of copper wires like that. Oh, geez, I just cut that. That was an accident. That's fine. It's extra. Turns out that's not the case. And I was looking at my YouTube comments and somebody said something along the lines of, is the wire pre-soldered? Because if it is, that makes it a lot easier. And I was thinking about how a lot of wire is really difficult to solder because it rejects the solder. And it doesn't want to stick to the solder, so you have to like stick some solder to the wire and then stick the solder to the solder on the wire and then use that solder to connect it to everything. And, you know, and so on and so forth and stuff. So if we look at this, you can see it's shiny and it looks like it's completely one piece of wire, right? Well, if we bend it a few times, like you would do if you were creating a stress line, then it breaks and so on. There we go. So you see now it's misshapen and such. That's because the solder, like the wire is pre-soldered, as the guy said. So I'm bending it enough that the pre-solder is coming off and it's just becoming its copper wire underneath. Which I thought was really cool and didn't even know was a thing before. So let's see if I can get all of this solder off. So now if you look at the wire, you can see that it is much copperier. So now you can see in this specific strand, it's much copperier than the silver that it was before. It is in fact pre-solder coated wire. So I thought that was super interesting. Thought I'd show you guys something new that I learned, because I did learn quite a bit of things doing this kit, and I'm sure I will learn more before the day is done. Alright, today is day 5, and I don't know why I say alright so much, but today is day 5 and we are finishing up this kit. It's extra wire I can put in Dad's wire stash because I don't need it anymore. Kit board. Kit book. Random piece of paper I keep for who knows why. And the bag o' parts. Oh, and also a little ball of solder. Definitely necessary. So, the next step is going to be the 9-volt battery snap, as they call it. The black lead goes in ground, as I said before, and then the red wire, or the red lead, goes on plus 9 volts. We'll move this out of our way, get the board into our frame, and start wiring. Now these wires also look to be pre-soldered, pre-soldered, which means they'll be nice and easy to get into the proper holes. Now if you didn't notice, I have a bit of a new strategy for wires like these, and it goes like this. Step 1 is flip the board over and tin the hole, per se. So if you look at this circle right here, I'm going to take my soldering iron and I'm just going to put some solder around the circle without actually closing up the hole. So you see how it now looks a little oblong and such. That's probably not how you pronounce that word, but that's fine. Now I'm going to put the wire that goes in there, I'm going to put the wire in the hole. Nice and simple. Hold it in place with one hand and also end up holding the board, so this takes a bit of finagling. Then I'm going to take my soldering iron, put some solder on the tip, and solder that in because the hole has already been tinned. Let it cool, and we have a nice, perfect little solder joint. Works really super well, and I just happened to figure it out when I was resoldering some things. So now, pull out my clippers, snip the last 2 leads, and I will be completely done soldering this project. And there she is.
completely done. Well, almost completely done. Now, it's time for 14 minutes of constructive criticism. So, look at the board. Take note that there are 0 holes left. You look at the bottom, you can very obviously tell there are 0 holes left. Now, we'll look at this. I haven't put the chips in yet. We'll do that in a second. But the important bit would be the 5 nylon wire ties I have left. So let's look at the book. And it says right here, use a 4-inch nylon wire ties to secure the battery leads to the PC board. The wire tie hole is located near Q10. So Q10, if you look up here, is going to be this transistor, and there are no holes near it. So I'm like, okay, I can't do that. There's not a hole in the board. It's okay. I don't need this to be nice and neat and pretty and sitting up there. It's fine. I can let it hang. Not a big deal. We go to the next page. Actually, we're not going to check that out. We'll leave that unchecked just because I can't do it. Go to the next page, and it has how to put in the 2 chips and operating instructions. So even though it said we need 5 nylon wire ties, we actually only need 1 and we can't use it, which is just a little bit of an issue, but not a huge deal. So let's put the chips in real quick, check the last 2 boxes, and start her up. Now when we're putting in chips, we put them in just like sockets. There's going to be something indicating that it is front or pin 1 per se. And we'll put the notch on the socket on the chip with the notch on the socket with the notch on the board. Now you may notice the socket isn't fitting perfectly well. That's because I kept accidentally bending the pins. The chip isn't fitting perfectly well. So all you have to do, bend the pins until they're in the right order, and then gently but firmly press it into the socket. Gently but firmly. There we go. So now you can see all the pins are in, and then we just pop her in nice and easy. You don't want to be too rough. You could bend a pin, you could break a pin inside of the socket. That would be a hot mess. Same thing with the little baby pin. Alright, let's grab a 9-volt battery, 9-volt battery, and see how well she works. Now I did notice when I was looking through this book that it has a really nice in case of difficulty section. So in case of difficulty, I know exactly where to look. Battery's connected, let's hit the on switch. Okay, lights are moving. Nice. Make it so you guys can see that. Okay, I didn't check to see if this battery is charged, so I'll get a different one. Alright guys, I'm back with a 9-volt battery, and I would turn the lights back up, but we've got a flashing light show to show you in a second, so I won't worry about that. This 9-volt battery, you're not going to recognize it. It looks like every other Duracell 9-volt battery, but this specific 9-volt battery is actually from the kit I did in my last video, the QRP ARDF transmitter kit. I forgot what I named my video there for a second. So we're going to plug this one in and hope it fares better considering it's new. Nice. Very nice. Looks like we didn't make any mistakes. Let's turn more lights off. I can't tell if there's 2 at once or not. Like it looks like there is, but I can't tell. Does it pick up right where it left off? No, it's just an illusion. Well, there you are, guys. A kit build, a how-to solder kit build. I hope you learned a lot. I hope I taught you well. I can't remember if I taught you well. But I hope you learned a lot. And I am in existence. You know, I got 6 minutes of. Alright, you guys, we're never gonna know what she has 6 minutes of because, like, the footage cut out there. It's just like, I have 6 minutes of suspense. But anyway, that is me finishing soldering the entire kit. It's gonna be a bit of a longer video than usual, but that's fine, because obviously, longer video, more content, it must be a better video, right? That's how that works. So, thanks for watching. My next video, which is going to be the last video in this series, is going to be just a nice little sit down. Here's an overall review of the kit, because I know I did a few review things in the middle of my series, but I was kind of also in the middle of doing a bunch of other things, and I think it'll be nice to have just a little video explaining all of it. So thank you for watching this. Look forward to part 4, the last part of my How to Solder series video series. So yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff, and I'll see you next time.